frames. In this lecture, we'll see what data frames are, and we'll see ways to create data frames. As usual, we start by importing numpy as np and pandas as pd. So what are data frames? A data frame is a two-dimensional labeled data, and it can have various columns of different data types. You can think of a data frame as a SQL table, or more like a spreadsheet. And it's a very commonly used object in pandas, and it's probably the most commonly used object in pandas. And we can create data frames from various objects, like we can create it from dictionaries containing lists, series, or even arrays. And we can create data frames from arrays. We can create it from a series, or even from other data frames. Okay? And while we create data frames, we can pass index and column arguments. Those are optional. And if we pass those index and column arguments, our data frame will have those passed indexes and columns. Okay? Let's look at how we can create data frames from series. Okay? So first we'll see how to create data frames from a dictionary of series objects or from a dictionary of dictionaries. Let's start by creating a dictionary object, and then we'll save it in a variable, let's say dd. So dictionaries will pass key and value combo. Let's say key1 for our key, and for our value we'll pass a series object. Let's say pd.series, and let's pass a list containing numbers. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'll pass the index argument as, let's say, A, B, C, and D to make it simple. A, B, C, and D. So that's one key and value combo. We have our key1, and then our value is a series object. Let's create one more key and value combo for our dictionary. So let's name the second key as key2, and then for value we'll use the same method, pd.series, to pass a series object, and then we'll pass a list of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for index, I'll pass a list of alphabets A through E to make it simple. A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, now that we have our dictionary object, we can simply call the data frame method to create a data frame. So before we have seen how to create a series object by calling the series method on our object, similarly we'll use the data frame method to create data frames. So we have our dictionary object, right? And then we'll call the data frame method on that. So pd dot data frame, and then we'll pass our dictionary object. Let's save this in a variable called dframe for data frame. And then if we call our data frame object, we get a data frame. So as we said earlier, a data frame is a two-dimensional labeled data structure, and you can think of it as SQL table or as a spreadsheet. So here we have key 1, key 2, and then we have A, B, C, D, and E. Those are our index values. Note here that we have not a number value, which is a missing value, for key 1 at index E, since our key 1 doesn't have a fifth index. So we have a no value. And if we want to see only certain indexes from our data frame, we can call this data frame on our dictionary object and then specify only the indexes that we want to see. Let's see an example of that. So pd dot data frame, then we have our dictionary object, and then we pass the indexes that we want to see. Let's say E, B, and A. So if we run this, we get key 1 and key 2 and indexes E, B, and A. So here E for key 1 is no value. Then we have 5 to 1. We can also pass the column argument. Similar to this index argument, we can pass a column argument. Let's see an example. So pd dot data frame, we pass our dictionary object. Let's pass indexes. I'll pass the same index E, B, and A. And then we can pass this columns argument and specify the columns that we want to see. Let's say key 2 and run it. So I only see key 2. What if I pass a column that doesn't exist? What do you think I'll get? For instance, here I pass columns key 2 and let's say key 3. So in this case, I will get the values for my column key 2, and it will add another column called key 3, and the values at those indexes for key 3 will be no value, NaN, since we don't have any column key 3. Let me run it and show you. So we have no value. And if we want to get the row and column labels, we can pass the methods known as index and columns. Let's see that. So we have our data frame object, and then we can call the index method if we want to find out the index of our data frame. So we have A, B, C, D, and E. Similarly, we can pass the columns method to find the columns label of our data frame. Let's run it. So we have 2 columns, key 1 and key 2. Great. And in the next lecture, we'll see how to create data frames from a dictionary containing arrays and lists. Thank you, everyone.